Since the term value has emerged, let us try to find out what is the meaning of value. Next slide please. The term value driven from Latin means an ideal, purpose, objective or goal as object of life or assigned preference over other considerations. Next slide please. Please move slides with my discussion. So, the meaning of value is those ideals and purposes or objectives which people adopt, which people value, which is important for them, which determines their priorities. In the hierarchy of values, some values are regarded intrinsic, like essential or foundational, while others are considered instrumental. For example, adl or equity and justice is an essential value, but adl demands that there should be freedom, hurriya. Therefore, freedom becomes a subsidiary value of adl. Next slide please. Then we find that values have been classified by scholars. Some moral values, aesthetic values, religious values, family values, economic values, political values. If a political worker or a political scientist is not aware of how power is to be balanced, then we say he lacks political culture. If an economist does not understand what is the meaning of need of people, what is the meaning of wealth generation, what is the meaning of trust that exists between a buyer and seller, then we think he is not a person who knows economic activity. And same applies to legal values. If a person claiming to be expert of law does not understand what are the limits of every individual and goes beyond the limit, crosses that limit, then the person lacks legal value. Social values, how to behave with children, how to behave with elderly, how to respect women, how to talk to them, what things to see, what not to see, all those aspects, social values, literary values. And similarly, spiritual values, some are customary values, like you find in many tribal areas and non-tribal areas. People say, this is our custom, this is our brotherly, this is our family tradition. And same spiritual values, because people think that if you want to enhance spirituality, then perhaps some manifestations indicate that, such as carrying a rosary or a tasbih in hand indicates the person is concerned about spirituality. And then national values, sometimes national values may be pride, maybe nationalism, maybe something else. So, there are a variety of values exist. Till now we have tried to understand what is the meaning of culture, civilization and values, because we are trying to understand the thought development process. In thought development, how far a civilization, how far a culture, how far certain values play their role is our main concern. So, we are just trying to understand first meaning of these terms, and then we will go in more detailed discussion about how these are linked together. Similarly, there are philosophical view of values and we find that philosophers of different ages have come up with their answers. For example, Aristotle, and among Christian scholars Thomas Aquinas, a very famous philosopher, contemporary of Imam Ghazali, they think that happiness is the highest value, that human beings strive and work and sacrifice their lives to achieve happiness. Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, thinks that highest value is pleasure. we do things for our pleasure. Even in legal terms, when a judge writes a judgment, it carries the word, the authorities are pleased to declare, even when they declare death sentence, they use same word, which means that they are satisfied with that. Then in Chinese philosophy, we find that humanity or jinn is considered as highest value, that you should work for the welfare of humanity. Similarly, German philosopher Nietzsche considers that will to power, which has been which was an impact on Iqbal also, but he changed the concept and substituted that with khudi. Instead of will to power, he makes khudi, which is self realization, while for Nietzsche it is power and authority. And similarly, the contemporary thought, which is modernist, postmodernist and existentialist, all three, they all three agree on authenticity, which is a terminology used by existentialists. What they mean by authenticity is that whatever is authentic act is the objective of life. Therefore, a person who is running for a parliament, a person who is trying to become a good merchant, whatever you are doing, that ultimately boils down to what is more authentic for you, what is more real, what is more existential, what you consider as your ultimate objective.